I'm Dean Eckert, and I'm 7 years old.
Dean Eckert is this year's Bald for Bucks hero child. Dean was diagnosed with clear cell sarcoma of the kidney in 2020 when he was only 4 years old. However, that has never kept him from his passion, gymnastics, which has lent itself to this year's Bald for Bucks theme.
The theme for this year is gymnastics. Dean, our hero child, loves to do all things tumbling. So he likes flips, he likes back handsprings.
We could do lots of cool tricks.
We feel really thankful that he's able to do something like gymnastics given what he went through.
Unfortunately, because he only has one kidney, it does limit some of his activities that he can do. And, gymnastics can be one of those ways to maintain physical fitness, and he's really good at it.
I also think even during chemo, he would come home and ride his bike. So he really had the ability. He just powered through treatment. I think kids are a lot stronger than we give them credit for.
Fundraising for a cause by itself is great, but I think that when you actually see a face of somebody who has been through and who has lived it, it makes it real for everybody. It just makes you realize that this is true life and this actually happens to people, and it happens to people that we know that are in our community.
The hero child is a fundamental part of Bald for Bucks that everyone can rally around. Dean and his family have a powerful story and an even more powerful message.
Because it was during COVID, he was denied a well child check. So his cancer could have actually been caught sooner. So that's something that, as silly or as minuscule as you feel like a well child checkup should be, parents should really fight and push for that. Just bring him in because felt like something was off, and they immediately, red flags went up, sent us straight to children, and our life was changed by that day.
It made me feel upset to not have a brother play with on the trampoline, because we always do that.
I think we came through this, we worked really well as a team and as a family unit. We had a lot of people come out and support us, and that was really humbling. So while a lot of people maybe would have seen cancer, and don't get me wrong, it was awful. It was a time that we did see a lot of support.
In some of the worst seeming conditions, positivity and community can still flourish. One example of this could be Leon, Dean's Pomeranian from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, who Dean affectionately calls his wish boy.
I wished for him because I wanted a dog.
This positivity can be seen once again at the Bald for Bucks Assembly, where the student body will show their support for Dean and all cancer patients and survivors.
Bald for Bucks has been fortunate to donate more than $25,000 to our hero families over the years. And we're very fortunate to have this family join us this year.
We want to make what happened to Dean, hopefully be able to make a difference in other families going through the same.
Thank you for choosing us as a Bald for Bucks family.
If you would like to show your support by shaving your head, cutting your hair, or making a donation, you can speak with Mr. Anderson in room 304 on Gold Days. This has been Kaitlyn O'Keefe, reporting for KRAM.
Bald for Bucks can be a very emotional time for participants, especially when they have been personally affected by cancer. Mrs. Wiest has participated in Bald for Bucks in the past, but this year she will be cutting her hair in support of her sister.
This year is a little bit different for me because my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer back in about October. So immediately I knew that I wanted to participate.
I have stage 2 triple negative cancer. It was very scary. A lot of anxiety, just the unknown, really.
Miss Wiest's decision to cut her hair for her sister has greatly impacted those around her.
I think it's great, and I really respect her for it.
The fact that she's doing it is just such a testament to how much love she has, not only for her sister, but for the whole Bald for Bucks community.
For Miss Wiest to participate because she's supporting her sister is a very powerful statement of family and of love.
It's really emotional. It means a lot to me, really.
It is important to share stories like Miss Wiest's.
People need to be aware of cancer, that it can happen to them at any time, and you don't know until you're in those shoes what actually happens. And there's a lot, and it's complicated, and you just have to emotionally be there for your family member.
It's important to share stories to give other people hope.
I think it makes them more aware for self-care, because if we don't take care of ourselves, who's going to take care of us?
You can be diagnosed with cancer at any age, and it's so scary. And so knowing that you have the support of people around you is so much more important when things like that happen.
Bald for Bucks continues to make an impact on Rampart and the community as a whole.
I think it's important to have events like Bald for Bucks because you really need to be able to support people even if you don't know them.
Bald for Bucks is so amazing because it gets awareness out about disease such as cancer, and it also brings people together. It's that camaraderie and support and encouragement that we all could use.
The sense of cause, that we all realize there are things bigger than just ourselves.
I think they're really important so people are aware of what cancer is, what it does.
Bald for Bucks is an event that allows for people like Miss Wiest who have been affected by cancer to show their support for their loved ones. If you have a similar story to her or just want to show support for your community, consider signing up for Bald for Bucks. This has been Makenna Blatnick reporting for KRAM.
Unknown to most, in 2015, Kaitlyn was diagnosed with breast cancer and has struggled with the disease ever since. This year, as Bald for Bucks approaches, she has not only decided to share this with the school, but has artistically depicted her story.
Because I am a long-term thriver, I would say, I realized this year as I started a new treatment at the beginning of the school year, I had a lot of fear about losing my hair again. It's not that fun to lose your hair. And I saw these wigs that were made out of paper, and I wanted to make one for myself. So I chose a kind of a beehive, just kind of like a swarming, larger than life hairstyle, and I made it out of my medical bracelets. So each one of these tags represents hours that I have been at an office, usually after school. And to get one or two, like if you go to a hospital stay, like that's kind of significant. Like they band you with your birthday, you say your name and your birthday over and over and over, and they verify everything, they check everything. And so this is really kind of an identity piece. Not that I want cancer to be my identity, but it is a part of me, and it is a part of my story.
Through her artwork, Kaitlyn empowers her community and shares an important message about identity and circumstance. Everybody has a story, but she shows that some may not be outwardly visible.
I think it unmasks some of the perceptions that we have of what somebody who's struggling with cancer looks like. You know, she has all of her hair, you know, and I think the first thing you think of is the loss of their hair, you know, and she doesn't. And so it makes me think of what have other people struggled with and are currently struggling with, but we don't know.
I view cancer sometimes as an iceberg experience, and so people respond to baldness with empathy and sympathy, but they don't always realize that it's almost a relief for cancer patients, because then everybody can see how unwell or how hard or how tiring the stuff below the surface is. And I realized that when I think about showing up and coming to work each day, in spite of having a disease and diagnosis, there's a lot of students here at Rampart that have something that is going on that is like that mass that is below the surface of the water. And they don't get the empathy that we always get for cancer patients. And so it really just impressed on me to share my story, to know that you're more than your circumstance, and that you can still show up and you can work through the hard of every day. And you can still participate and you can still have great moments, even though there's difficulty below the surface.
I think a lot of times we see cancer and we don't see the misused side of it, where she's coming to work, she's smiling, she's, you know, enjoying her time and enjoying life and things like that. And so I think it's also really important for kids and adults to be able to see that cancer isn't a death sentence, and that you can absolutely still live.
I may have a diagnosis, but I am not a diagnosis, and I am healthy, and I am happy, and I am so thankful that I get to be part of this community.
Kaitlyn shares her diagnosis to empower others and their own stories that may lie just under the surface. Community empowerment and connection is deeply important, especially as Bald for Bucks approaches, where everyone comes together to support one another in the fight against cancer. This has been Kaitlyn O'Keefe reporting for KRAM.
After 17 years and over $600,000 raised for Bald for Bucks, it is important to reflect on why it has become such a celebrated tradition within our community. Mr. Anderson has been the face of Bald for Bucks for the entirety of its existence. He has been a crucial part of the process, but has also been an important part of many people's lives.
I think he has created a culture and a generation of educators who love kids and who are passionate about what they do, passionate about where they work, He makes people want to come to work. He makes kids want to show up to school. He makes people smile.
His relationships with the students that you guys get to see are only parallel to the relationships he has with his peers. And I think that's something that I will always honor and appreciate.
He is a human that just radiates joy and pride and happiness.
You know, when he comes to school, he gives his best to his students.
He is my role model. Mr. Anderson is somebody that I've looked up to since I've been here at Rampart.
I think he just is unlike other teachers in that he just has a huge amount of compassion for his students.
He has done so many things for Bald for Bucks to make it happen.
It was a piece of his heart that went when Penny Sanford passed away. He and I went to visit her in hospice right before she passed. And he had said, you know, we're here for your kids and just know that your legacy will live on. And it really and truly has.
He saw a need and he saw that this is something this community needs and that Rampart could do, and Rampart has risen to the occasion.
Every single person that participates, he makes them feel seen and valuable and just as important, whether they raise $1 or $5,000.
He does a lot, just so much of the work behind the scenes. He is what is keeping it running.
He's like our backbone, and he has like led us in continuing this event for so many years.
After his retirement, his impact will be felt by everyone in the community.
The biggest impact is really just about bleeding his love and passion for this place onto others and making them love this place and each other just as much as he does.
Think of the thousands of students that have come through his classroom. He has affected Rampart just with his dedication.
His impact is greater and wider than he will ever give himself credit for. His name will never die, his presence in our building will never die, and he's a Ram forever.
I think Mr. Anderson's legacy through Bald for Bucks will continue for a good long time to come.
Mr. Anderson has done so much for students, staff, and community members, so let's return the favor and make his last Bald for Bucks as a staff member a memorable one. Thank you for all you've done for Rampart, Mr. Anderson. You'll be greatly missed, and remember, always watch out for the stupid people. This has been Makenna Blatnick reporting for Kaitlyn. Mr. Anderson has done so much for students, staff, and community members, so let's return the favor and make his last Bald for Bucks as a staff member a memorable one. Thank you for all you've done for Rampart, Mr. Anderson. You'll be greatly missed. This has been Makenna Blatnick reporting for Kaitlyn.
Everyone at Rampart has a story that doesn't always get told. Emmy Bayless is one of those students who has a deep-rooted history with the school she now attends after being a hero child just 10 years ago. After getting diagnosed with leukemia, a long journey towards recovery began.
You know, Emmy was just over 2 when she was diagnosed with cancer, and it started with a bloody nose. She'd had nosebleeds for kind of on and off for a month, and she had one I couldn't stop. So we ended up in the emergency room, and within 45 minutes, we knew that she had leukemia. All it took was one blood test, and they came back down and said, your daughter's very sick. That was kind of how life started for her, and kind of a lot of her early memories, I think, are formed by that experience, you know, doctors and nurses and
a lot of blood draws in my port and in my back, and just like giving me blood, taking blood out, a few surgeries here and there. And my type of cancer affected my blood, which affected my immune system, so I couldn't fight off disease very well.
After overcoming the challenges of her diagnosis, Emmy was invited to be Rampart's hero child for Bald for Bucks in 2014.
She was about 6 months, 4 months maybe, out of treatment at that point. And it was really overwhelming, as you might imagine, for a kid who had just turned 5 to come and have all these people cheering for her and so excited, and to watch other kids who were shaving their heads and said, oh, Mom, they look just like I did.
It was a really, powerful experience to see how many people supported you even though they didn't know you, and just from, hearing your story.
Having the connection to Rampart when Emmy was a little kid influenced her decision to choice in as a student.
I think from going to Bald for Bucks last year, it was inspiring to see that happened to me. It's just made me realize how powerful of a school this is for doing this.
We want to go to a place that has a community that participates in community actions and programs, and one that's going to lift up other kids and other families the same way that we felt lifted up by Bald for Bucks.
The lasting impact of Bald for Bucks is still felt by Emmy and her family, who recognize how the fundraiser helps other kids just as it did her.
When a kid goes into treatment, they're going to be less sick, they're going to feel better, they're going to have a more normal childhood experience with that cancer because of the effort that students like the students here at Rampart put into that Bald for Bucks initiative. So we're so grateful. If I was a parent 40 years ago, my kid wouldn't have had the same chance to survive that Emmy did.
Emmy's presence in Bald for Bucks was memorable to those taking part in the assembly. Alexis Bailey was a Rampart alumni who returned to shave her head and shared some memories she has of Emmy.
She came over and she watched my entire shave. She sat in front of me with her mom and her little stuffed animal. And you could tell she was overwhelmed. Like, the whole experience was huge. And that was just cool because she was so young and so unaware of the impact that she was having on such a big group of people. She now has had this impact as a little girl in our community, but now she's come back as a student at Rampart. It's incredible. And to know that she's healthy, she's doing well. And a lot of what we did back in 2014 was all worth it to support her and make her feel special.
Emmy is proof that Bald for Bucks has a powerful effect on Rampart and our community. This has been Fiona Wachter reporting for KRAM.
Last Friday, March 8th, Rampart held its 17th annual Bald for Bucks fundraiser. The event helps raise money for cancer research as students and teachers shave their heads to show their support for those whose lives cancer has affected.
I'm participating in Bald for Bucks this year primarily because it's a good cause. It's the right thing to do.
For 11 years since second grade, I kept doing it so that I could keep raising money to help kids with cancer so they could just be regular kids again and enjoy their childhood.
I just think it's important to participate in causes that you feel close to.
I'm participating because since freshman year I've wanted to shave my head.
Bald for Bucks began when a really good friend of mine had cancer, so it's always, her story's always stayed with me. What Bald for Bucks means to me is the chance, the opportunity to be a part of this community, a chance to shave my head in solidarity with those that are also doing it.
My grandfather got diagnosed with cancer and I went and visited him. Once I found out about that, I was just like, I have to. Like, it was just like this is the moment to cut my hair and donate.
It represents who Rampart is in our hearts, and I love showcasing that, and I love the world knowing who we are. Don't underestimate what a group of really passionate, caring, empathetic people can do no matter what age.
In a community, if one person gets affected, we can all come together to help that one person.
Bald for Bucks for me is like just an opportunity for not only to find yourself, but to help other people find themselves. And just help out the community.
The event has raised over $40,000 this year, with many teachers and students participating. For them, shaving their heads represents something much bigger than just themselves.
It's cold, but other than that, it's great. I don't have to do my hair in the morning.
It's a little weird sometimes when I look in the mirror, but I really like it. I think it suits me pretty well.
Bald for Bucks every year exceeds my expectations, but this year was even further beyond anything I could have imagined.
I think it's pretty good that we can all come together, fundraise money, go to all the sponsors.
Oh, I think the event went really well. The assembly was put together nicely. The speakers did an awesome job. I think our students were amazing during it.
I just like how everyone is in one place, like all together, like in unity. And how much love is like in the air at these like assemblies.
It's a day of positivity. It's a day of hugs and high fives. It's a day of positive energy in our school.
The speeches on it, like Mr. Anderson talking to us and having the entire school or most of the students come down and watch us all shave.
Part of it that I love so much is having a hero family, and the reason I say that is not because, we're giving money to this family. That obviously is important and we're supporting a family, but it's our family. It's in our community.
I think Bald for Bucks brings the community together by forcing us to think about something bigger than ourselves.
It just shows that like we are all one. Like if I do something, it represents everyone. if someone else does something in the community, it also represents everyone. I just think like it just shows like the one love.
Mr. Anderson, the man behind Bald for Bucks for the past 17 years, has announced his retirement at the end of this school year. Despite this, he will still help with more Bald for Bucks events in the future.
As this is my last Bald for Bucks as a teacher at Rampart High School, it's been a humbling experience to see the growth and the way that our community has embraced it. It has been the privilege of a lifetime to be a part of Bald for Bucks at Rampart High School.
Remember, Rams, one person can make a difference for their whole community. Thank you to everyone who makes Bald for Bucks possible every year. This has been Gavin Carter, reporting for K-Ram.